Hello everyone, welcome to Backward Benny Builds, and today we're taking a look at yet another LUG-MOC. This is the Hyrule Castle dungeons from The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So basically, to give a brief definition of that, there's a more complex explanation in the description below, but it's a build constructed according to parameters that were provided at a monthly LUG or LEGO Users Group meeting. So this one was built for October 2019, and the parameters were make a 32 by 32 dungeon layout, which had to have specific Technic pegs for attaching to other builds all along the edges at certain areas. It also needed a 6 brick thickness at its base, in case you wanted to incorporate traps, hidden subterranean chambers, or anything into the floor of your model. So this is what I came up with. I did the Hyrule Castle Lockup, I think is what it's called, from Breath of the Wild. And yeah, it was, this one took quite a bit of time to do, but I'm super happy with how it came out. So here's the front. We have, basically this is the most camera friendly side. We have the main thoroughfare through the middle here, and this is where, you know, this is the side I'd be showing to other builders and people who wanted to take a look at this. It's the most scenic, I guess. The right side has a doorway in the wall. You were required to put a doorway in the middle of at least 2 of your walls. So I have what looks like some rubble as a hole knocked into the wall here. There's also a little bit of cavern space over on this right side, and I'll delve more into that later. The very back is pretty plain. This blue pin is just for some detailing on the inside of the wall, and then that is actually corresponding to a mechanism. And then lastly, this wall to the left of basically the scenic side has another mechanism actuator down here, and then another caved in wall to be a doorway. So yeah, I guess I'm just going to go step by step through the build. This thing barely fits in my light box, so yeah, we'll see what happens. Alright, so if I start from the front here, this is the very far end of the lockup under Hyrule Castle in the game. It's where you see rows of cells on either side and a double waterway through the middle. I'm still not sure what that's for. Maybe it's for sewage. That seems like it would be pretty unsanitary. Maybe it's just for water runoff, because there is likely some subterranean rivers and tunnels that have been uncovered by the mine system that is also built into this area of the castle. Going up through the middle here, we've got a pair of columns on either side with torches that somehow are still lit. In the very middle, that sort of fragmented structure right there, that's supposed to be a lever that's been snapped off of its base and is now just kind of lying in the middle median, because throughout the dungeons you'll see these levers, and when you hit one of them, it'll flip to the opposite direction and cause the doors for the cell on either side to open up so that you can get access to them. So I have a absolutely completely obliterated door over here. All the rubble and pieces have been scattered all over the floor. There's basically nothing left, and the bars for that cell aren't in too good condition either. So it's gone through a pretty heavy beating. But on the other side, the door is a lot more complete. So I've tried to simulate the sort of wrought iron look of them with a lot of snot pieces, a lot of 1x1 black tiles, and then flat silver 1x1 pyramid pieces. A little bit farther back over here is Link. We'll take a closer look at the figures at the end, but that's Link. And then over there on the ground, that pink and black stuff is called Malice. It's the infernal evil influence of the Great Calamity Ganon, which is the big bad guy for this game. Ganon is a recurring evil throughout the Zelda series, and in this game he's known as a primal evil. So He doesn't have as much intelligence or personality as he does in other games, but he's almost like more of an infection that's taken over the castle. So you'll find these huge growths of just like black and pink goop, and they have eyeballs too, and so they'll watch you, and they damage you pretty badly if you try to walk across them. That's what that looks like. And that stuff has just grown all over that whole area of the castle. It's basically trapped you from getting to those boxes, or that barrel in that box over there. And then, lastly, if I turn this around, there's a better view of that cell over there. On this side, the opposite side, we've got a big old spider web, and then a huge, heavy portcullis, or gate, that would keep the lockup, or the dungeon, separated from the mines, which have been hollowed out on the other side. So, leading up to that, you've got some rubble and some rock work, because it's not as nice to look at as compared to the rest of the castle, but on the other side of that is just the raw stonework and the caves. Down here at the bottom is a box with a chain on it. If you take that chain off, there's an egg piece inside the box, and that's a reference to the hot springs that you can find somewhere in the mines near the dungeons, and if you put eggs into the hot springs, it'll actually boil them. So that's pretty neat. And then beneath the portcullis is just a little bit of water that's been blocked off from overflowing into the rest of the cave with some woodwork. So it's just kind of a pool there that feeds into the much larger waterways in the main dungeon. All right, so from a more direct angle, you can see how that sort of works. And this is actually one of my favorite parts of this MOC. If I put the portcullis back into its track from the top, you see that there's really no way to reach that area of the dungeon from this side, except for the fact that in-game, Link possesses a special tool called a Sheikah Slate, which I've simulated here using a satchel piece that hangs on his hip, and it allows him to manipulate things in various interesting ways. So one of the powers he has is called Cryonis, and he can create a giant block of ice out of water. So when you're traveling through the mines, or conversely, if you're traveling through the dungeons and you're trying to get to the mines, when you find a pool of water underneath a gate, you wouldn't be able to brute strength force the gate upward, but instead you can use your Cryonis ability, and when you do that, it creates an ice block. So you just have a whole section of the water there that comes up as an ice block and lifts the whole gate up and gives a gap on either side that's big enough to allow Link to squeeze through. So here's what that looks like from the other side. The actuator is pretty well hidden. I'm kind of proud of that, but it's just this little piece of rubble that if you lift out, you can see that it's an incredibly simple build, and it just fits into a slot in the ground right there. So if you put it back in, let's see, when you push down on it, causes the ice block to pop up. Let me see if I can keep my hand more out of the way. I know the visibility isn't too great, but that was a really big thing that I wanted to have in this model, and I'm super glad that I got that to work. Let's take a look at this cell over here. So this cell off to the right with the absolutely obliterated door, it's just completely standing open, so there's no need for the lever or anything. It's just easily accessible. It's pretty plain, it's pretty bare. I'm gonna actually remove the camera so I can show that from the top. But there on the inside is a pile of animal bones, probably some human bones in there too, because the monsters that have overrun the castle are carnivorous. Actually no, they're omnivorous, and they'll eat just about anything, including people, horses, anything they can really get their hands on. So that's just a pile of bones in the corner. They've been there for a while. There's some more rubble on the ground, a grate in the floor to allow for drainage, and smaller things can just fall down into the catacombs beneath the castle, or whatever's down there. We actually have no idea as of right now. And then over here in the corner is actually just a big pile of dirt, debris, and whatnot. But while this may seem pretty plain for this whole cell, there's actually one more secret that I wanted to put in there. And okay, so if you look down there really closely, you can see something on the other side of the grate, and that is the mummified body of Ganondorf, the primary bad guy for the series, and he's been teased as the villain for the second Breath of the Wild game, which has yet to release, but I wanted to include that sort of Ganon corpse. Dehydrated Ganon is what he's being called also. So yeah, he's pretty crispy. Things aren't looking too great for Hyrule right now. And then as for this other cell with the partially completed door, man, I still love how that looks. Actually, I'm going to take the camera off the stand again. From the top, there's another grate, more rubble against the wall, a treasure chest, and that treasure chest would likely have some sort of goodies inside that you're supposed to get to, or that you would want to get to. But as you can see, the door here is still blocking your entry. I don't believe, would be able to climb that just to get inside. So Link would have to find some other sort of way to enter this room. Now, there is a big hole blown in the wall over here, but, you know, he's on the outside. He couldn't just get in like that. So what I've actually included is over on this area of the model, where we have the Ganon Malice that's been growing over the castle, is a big portion of the wall that looks a whole lot flimsier than all the rest. And that is supposed to represent a portion of bombable wall, and it's actuated by this little thing that I showed at the very beginning of the video. So I'm going to set the camera down and show you how that works real fast. Alright, so the idea is that Link would be able to run up, use his bow and arrow to shoot the eye in the middle of the malice, which would cause all of it to basically die and disappear. And then once he was standing in front of this wall, he could drop a bomb using his bomb ability, and then I'm going to use my finger on the actuator on the side and just take two.
Bruh.
Take three. There we go. Okay, so that sort of shows how it would work. This thing is honestly pretty random. Sometimes the wall doesn't fall, sometimes the wall falls forward, sometimes the wall falls backward, which is what I'm really aiming for. Here it has just kind of crumbled on top of itself, but the basic idea is that it's made out of two pieces. This big chunk of the detailed, basically weakened wall that would be the tell that you could bomb something there, and a little chunk of wall at the base that it sits on top of. It's not held down by any sort of studs or anything, and instead there's a little round ball piece that hits it from the side. So that is pushed back, and then you slide it in and it hits this slope here, which pops the whole wall up and hopefully out. But regardless of how it falls, once that wall has been demolished, the idea is that Link could make his way then into this room here and be able to access the goodies inside of that treasure chest. If I remember correctly, I've put, let me see, yes, a T-bone steak. So that would be some good nourishment for his final fight with Calamity Ganon. And then I put another grate into the floor of this room, and I didn't want it to be bare because the other one had Ganon corpse, or dehydrated Ganon, in it. So that down there, I don't know if you can tell what that is, but that is one of the white space pigs, space dogs from the solo sets. Literally for no reason. I have no idea why I put that in there. I wanted some kind of detail to go down there, and that makes absolutely zero sense. There is zero reason why that should be down there. It's just for stupid fun. So yeah, that's the greater danger under Hyrule Castle, I guess. Alright, so as far as closing remarks and final details go, these top chunks can be removed. Allows you to have a much easier time seeing into the cells, which makes me wonder why I didn't do that in the first place, but oh well, here we are. So that gives you a slightly better view of the layout of that cell. Those holes in the ground are where the bars would sit, but that's how that looks. We've got our treasure chest with the stake there, and then actually let me show you the one on the other side too. And that gives you a better idea of the whole floor plan here. That's pretty much about it for the floor plan of this build. We had a bunch of other dungeons show up to the meeting that had, 32 by 32 footprints and 6 brick deep bases. I was the only one that built the walls up this tall, and I kind of regret it because you can't see inside too well. Trying to maneuver the camera into some of these spots has been incredibly difficult. But before we go, I wanted to show that back in the corner there, those boxes, here's the box. I'm going to zoom the camera out a little bit. The box has, alright, so these are some sort of fruit, and these 2 green pieces are hydromelon, volt fruit. I'm not entirely sure what these would be, but I just wanted some sort of food and resources for Link to find as he's adventuring through the castle, because of course this is one of your last stops you would make before finding the final boss and dueling to the death. So there's that, and up here, up above, this is not exactly minifig accessible, but at the time, and this is well over a year ago, I had still not found the elusive Hylian cookbook that I had heard about for a side quest, and so I had been scouring the whole castle looking for it, couldn't find it anywhere, and I ended up just kind of putting it up here as an Easter egg, so it's like ingredients for some sort of special concoction that you can make. But we've also got a gold chalice and a pot and some just cookware that would be, hiding with the cookbook, of course. Alright, so here are the figures. Going from left to right, we have Link, a Moblin, that's an Eye of Malice. That's just, I didn't take the entire goop structure out of the set because it would be terribly difficult to do. Right here is Ganon Corpse, or Dehydrated Ganondorf, and then the all-important Space Pig. So, Link on the left has just a wooden bow. It's probably like a Boko bow. And then his hero's tunic, or his champion's tunic, I'm sorry, is just built using a Minecraft Steve shirt. So it's got the pixelated neck for his skin, and then a black hood piece, black cape to be the combo for the cloak, brown like riding gloves and combat gloves, and then the satchel is actually supposed to be the Sheikah slate on his hip, and then the tan and brown legs represent the Hylian trousers, and these are actually just a piece from like the CMF Hiker. So I can't remember what series that was from, but they work very, very well. I'm still looking for a better substitute for that Minecraft shirt, just because the pixelated neck is kind of funny, but otherwise I really like it. The Moblin is a lot more rudimentary because it's such an odd looking character that it had to be done using some compromises, and it's a general aesthetic for the character. So you've got the monster parts from Nexo Knights, a big wooden spear, the bright blue eyes, and then just a black snot brick that makes up the base of the head, from which the snout, the back of the head, and then the large horn are built off of. So this thing could come charging at Link, it might try to bite him or spear him, so that's that. Here's the Eye of Malice. It's pretty simple, and I just killed Ganondorf. At least it wasn't the Space Pig. I killed him again! Alright, there we go. Here's the Eye of Malice, or an Eye of Malice. There are tons of them everywhere, because Ganon has taken over basically all of Hyrule and infected it. That eye piece is just from the Doctor Strange Sanctum Sanctorum set from like 2016, 2017, I can't remember exactly, but we had a spare one, and it works absolutely perfectly for the creepy slit eye that they have. So yeah, that's the Eye of Malice. Here's Ganoncorpse, who likes to fall over. He just uses a zombie face from Pirates of the Caribbean because he's, you know, a mummy. He's dead. And it does have another face, but this one looks a lot more angry and just generally more skeletal than the other. That hairpiece that he has is a red and yellow elf's hair, but it has the pointed ears in that same color, and Ganon actually does have Ganondorf has vibrant red hair, so it gives that same sort of look. So he has his pointy ears and the hair, and it still works for the zombie appearance. The torso is from Tonto, I believe, from the Lone Ranger, with like a medallion on it and some just jewelry and stuff he's wearing. But I mean, it works. Just regular tan trousers, and then his hands are two different colors, brown and actually gold, and I just put those on there because he's in a state of decay and he's falling apart. He's in shambles, so the two different colored hands, he's just kind of falling apart. So that's what that's supposed to be. And then the Space Pig, man, he just keeps dying. Space Pig was by far the most difficult character to do. Just all these pieces right here. Getting the shape for the legs to allow them to stick onto studs was particularly difficult, and getting all the little teeth into the mouth, that was so many one by one tiles. So yeah, this is a true innovation right here, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. Alright, this is what I wanted to show. This is the model flipped upside down, and that's what it looks like. That's what is attached to the base plate. That's how I got the 6 bricks of height under the floor, just using random pieces. That's actually a door frame right there. And I know it looks pretty flimsy, but once I had made that basically surface of black plates there, I just started layering stuff on top of it, and it is incredibly strong. This is by far one of the biggest MOCs I've done, and I had an absolute blast doing it. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time, I guess.